Live Jungkook broke. The sound of his voice made the crowd cry for a moment. It is now the center of attention, especially after the BTS Golden Meanie appeared with a tired face but full of sincerity, as if carrying the whole journey of his life that night. Not a single army was prepared for what he shared. No one expected that the live that initially seemed relaxed and full of laughter suddenly turned into the most honest room where Jungkook opened his heart, without filters, without scripts, and without the mask he had to wear as a global superstar. The live broke not only because millions of people watched it simultaneously, but because Jungkook's words were able to penetrate the screen and pierce into the hearts of each of his fans. That evening, he sat modestly, wearing an oversized t-shirt with slightly messy hair, and began a live while petting his dog, Bam. His voice sounded calm, but there was a faint tremor that couldn't be hidden. "I just wanted to have a chat," he said. But no one realized that what would come after that sentence was one of the most emotional moments in Jungkook's live history. Slowly, Jungkook began to talk about things he rarely expressed. His fatigue, the pressure he felt, and the weight of hope that had been on his shoulders since he was a teenager. "Sometimes, it feels too heavy," he says, looking away, not at the camera, but at a space full of memories that only he understands. The watching army started flooding the comments section with words of encouragement, but Jungkook smiled a little as if he wanted to calm everyone down. He said, "Don't worry, I just want to be honest. I'm human too, you know?" That sentence made the live atmosphere change completely. Jungkook is no longer an idol with an untouchable aura. He becomes a vulnerable Jungkook, who wants to be heard without having to think about how the world judges him. He told me that over the years he often harbored feelings of fear and anxiety, but never wanted to make others worry, especially ARMY who he considered a family outside the stage. "You always say I'm strong, but you know what? Sometimes I don't feel like it," he said with a bitter smile. That moment made the ARMY around the world immediately hold their breath. Many said they cried instantly, not because they were sad, but because they had only seen the bright side of Jungkook, the big stage, the beautiful voice, the global achievements, not knowing that behind it all there was a child growing up too fast and had to shoulder expectations that might be too high even for an adult. Jungkook continued that he often felt like he didn't want to disappoint anyone, and that feeling pushed him to keep working non-stop. "I'm afraid it's not enough," he said quietly. He paused for a few seconds, looked down, took a deep breath, then smiled a little to cover the tears that were about to fall. The watching army immediately panicked and flooded the comments with "We love you. You are enough. And please rest." But Jungkook, as always, kept thinking about calming others down. "I'm okay, really. I just want you to know this side too. I'm not a robot. I may be broken, but I'm learning to get back up." What's most heartwarming is when Jungkook talks about his past days struggling childhood. The days when he was a young trainee who had to leave home at the age of 13, and how guilty he felt about having to part with his family to pursue his dreams. "I was a kid, but I wanted to make my parents proud. I wanted to give them a better life," she said. When he mentioned his mother, his voice broke slightly. "My mother always said, 'Are you okay?' Even when I said I was strong, he kept asking. Only Mom can see I'm not okay." ARMY really exploded his emotions at this point. Many couldn't hold back the tears because they saw how deeply Jungkook loved his mother and how hard he had traveled alone since childhood. She told me that there were times when she felt she had no choice but to keep going even though her heart was tired, and that she often endured loneliness that she never told anyone about. "I don't want to make you sad," he said with a slight smile, "but I want you to know that you helped me get through those times." That live turned into a healing space, not just for Jungkook but also for the millions of ARMY who felt his every word like a hug. He also said that ARMY was one of the reasons he stayed, although he never wanted to put that burden on his fans. "You give me strength, but don't feel like you have to save me. I want us to strengthen each other, not burden each other." Amid the tears that poured from different parts of the world, Jungkook again showed the warmth that made him loved by many people. He smiled broadly and said that he still had many dreams, many things he wanted to do, and that although the journey was not easy, he was grateful that he was not alone. "You are all here with me, and I want to be there for you," he said with a small wave. The emotional climax of the live came when Jungkook said that he learned to love himself more, something he used to find difficult to do. I'm trying to live more honestly, more relaxed. I want to be happy, not only for my career, but for myself. ARMY responded with overwhelming love, sending endless messages of support as if to hug Jungkook from afar. The live was finally closed with a simple but meaningful thank you. Thank you for listening, Jungkook said as he looked at the camera with calmer eyes. You have no idea how precious that is to me. When the live ended, the ARMY around the world was still silent. Some were still in tears, some wrote long posts about their feelings, and some admitted that they were still shaking. That night wasn't just any ordinary live. It was a moment when a global superstar stripped off all his labels and became a whole person. And for the ARMY, it was worth more than any big concert. Jungkook's live broke not because of the hype, but because of the honesty that rarely appears in the world of entertainment full of imagery. And it is precisely that honesty that makes everyone fall in love and cry instantly. The silence after the live ended was a testament to the profound impact Jungkook left behind. The ARMY, which was usually boisterous with laughter and memes, suddenly turned into a community of mutual encouragement, as if everyone had just felt the same embrace. A hug from a Jungkook who finally allowed himself to look fragile. Not a few admitted that they felt touched because they could finally understand the burden that Jungkook had been hiding behind his bright smile. For many fans, the live felt like it opened a window into Jungkook's heart. Not an idol, not a superstar, but a young man who once felt alone in a world too big on social media. Hashtags about Jungkook immediately shot to the top of trending in various countries. Many wrote about how they felt personally touched, some even claiming Jungkook's outpouring of heart made them feel less alone in their respective life struggles. ARMY wrote that the way Jungkook spoke that night made him feel like he was staring at someone who had been in pain for too long and yet was smiling, and it was heartbreaking. The community was suddenly filled with messages of mutual encouragement, as if live Jungkook was opening up space for everyone to be true to themselves. However, there was the most talked about moment after that live. The way Jungkook expressed his longing for a simple life before his fame exploded. He said that there was a time when he wanted to go back in time, to become a child who did not need to think about the expectations of millions of people. Sometimes I miss the days when there were no cameras, Jungkook said quietly, and the phrase seemed to rip the chest of anyone who heard it. He's not complaining, he's just being honest, and that honesty is what makes the fans melt. Jungkook told how he often felt like he was missing out on the little moments of his life. Family dinners, regular vacations, walking without having to cover his face. I have many beautiful things, but there are also many things that are missing, he said.